This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose. We celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today does just that. Adisa, Cleopatra, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I love it. You know, I love how the universe works. So I met Adisa today on a photo shoot. And her and I just had this incredible energy exchange together. And I'm like, you need to be on Life Transformation Radio. And as you heard from her bio, she has a really cool background and a really cool story. And I'm just happy to unpeel that onion with you today.
Well, unpeel me. I'm ready to be unpeeled.
Unpeel, baby. All right. So we talk about stories of transformation and overcoming obstacles. And you survived a hell of a marriage. So
yeah, I did.
I think let's start there with a story of transformation, and that I really believe that the people that are listening today, it will have a significant impact. I just feel it. I feel like the universe is just tapping in, and my team is saying this is really important. Like whatever message you have today is really important. So as you're listening today, just know there's a reason you're here, and there's a reason you're listening, because this is information that you need to have.
Okay. So let's start. Several years ago, I'm a pastor's daughter. I'm like a fifth, maybe sixth generation PK.
I knew that.
How did you know?
I don't know.
I am.
Like, I know.
Like my dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather. Like, yeah.
It's amazing how dialed in we were.
We were like magnets.
Like it was a mag. People were like, what is going on here?
They were so amazed they're like, okay, it's like the whole world just shifted and it has become the Adisa and Rob show. And that's literally what happened.
It did.
That's literally what happened. But
they were just the girl just sitting there like,
can I even be a part of this conversation? No, you can't.
Exactly. Well,
you're not on that level.
We included her.
We did include her, and she was sweet. She was so sweet. But there is a level of energy that people can give you when they're in a state of consciousness that you can't get from anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that was the energy that I received from you.
Yeah, it was interesting.
And that was the magnetism.
Well, thank you. It was interesting because, and we're going to get back to your pastor's daughter and your marriage.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating. So I was ending my relationship with the photo shoot, and it was an ending. So it was just a transition from what it was to what it's not going to be, and then what's going to be in my future. And I didn't want to go. Like I was up this morning, I was up working out, and I was like, I'm not going to go. And it wasn't that I already paid for it. I'm like, well, I'm going to go because I already paid for it. I just didn't want to go. And what I did was I just kind of just got really quiet and clear and present. And I said, do I want to be there? Do I need to be there? Is this where I need to be? And I just moved in that direction. I got my clothes ready and I'm like, yeah, we're doing a photo shoot today. So it's wonderful how the universe works and you cross paths. Because I don't know how we ever would have crossed paths. And I'm glad we have, because I think your story is important. And I got a new friend. So there you go. So let's get back.
Can I tell you something before you go there?
Yes, ma'am.
I showed up to the photo shoot 2 hours early. I wasn't supposed to be there until noon. I showed up at 10 a.m. by mistake.
Wow.
I was going to turn around and go do something else. And I said, let me just stick around because I feel like I'm supposed to be here. And you showed up.
How cool is that?
But what you don't know is that I had been wanting to introduce myself to the Scottsdale, Arizona area because I just moved here 2 months ago from Dallas, Texas. And I had prayed. I said, hey, listen, I need to get connected here. And then you walked in.
There you go.
And that is kismet.
I know. And then look at that. You're already on the podcast.
That is absolutely
So now you can introduce people and just say, hey, listen to my podcast.
Yep. Listen to my podcast.
If you want to find out about me, just check out my podcast. All right.
Okay. Let's do it.
Preacher's Daughter.
Yes.
From many, many generations.
Many generations.
That's a whole podcast in itself.
It really is, because there is some bullshit. I don't know if I can. Oh, I can't curse. No, I got to be a good girl today. Okay, so we're not going to curse. Yes.
You can curse.
I can curse.
I can just put that E on the end and it says explicit and then it's fine.
And then I'm good because I am
good.
pretty explicit. Okay, great.
You know, the universe just kind of guides me in how this show is, and it's transforming. And, you know, you've already heard a little bit of her background, and we're going to dive in a little bit of her teachings and what she's doing now. But right now, if we stay focused, and which I'm going to be, we're going to talk about bringing the preacher's daughter.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It is. It is. And I grew up with a very powerful father. My father was the type of man. I have 8 sisters. My dad went and took all of his daughters and he raised us. I was raised by my dad instead of my mother. Okay. So that in itself is very different. My dad taught me how to cook. He taught me how to dress. He taught me so many different things. He also was very controlling.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely controlling. And he also wanted to pick who I married. Now, mind you, I was 26 at this time. I was living in my father's home, not because I could not afford not to, but because my father wanted to protect his daughters. And he said, listen, you need to be in the home with me so I can protect you.
With a shotgun.
Yes. Very, very, very traditional.
What part of the country?
So at that time, we were living in McKinney. Yeah, McKinney. McKinney, Texas.
I knew it. Okay.
Yes, we were in the South.
I knew we were getting closer to the South.
But it's so ironic because my dad grew up in Denver, so he doesn't have the mindset of the South.
He got it.
He got it really quick. I wish he would have left it there, but so he would not allow me to get married, and unless it was a guy that he chose, and the guys that he chose were not like him. They were the guys that I couldn't stand. And here is something that men don't understand about their daughters. She's going to want to marry your unevolved version of you, the version of you that you were when you conceived her. You see, if you have a daughter, men get so mad about this. Listen, the first love of a daughter is her daddy. And you have to fall in love with all versions of you, because if you don't, when you see that young man that was the 20-year-old version of you walk in with your daughter, you're going to want to kill him. You're going to want to kill him.
And that was you.
Yeah. And that was my dad. And I'm like, can't you see that I love him because he's so much like you? And my dad's like, nope, my daughter deserves better. She deserves the cleaned up version. But I'm like, yeah, but the cleaned up version doesn't accept me as I am. Yeah. The cleaned up version doesn't want to get naughty with me. And I want the naughty guy. I want you when you were the pimp and not the pastor. You see, my daddy didn't want to tell me that. Okay,
just want to stop real quick. I just got a tap on my shoulder from the universe, and they're just checking in. Is Daddy going to hear this podcast?
He can hear it. It's fine.
Okay.
Daddy might hear it. I hope Daddy hears it.
All right.
I hope Daddy hears it, because you know what? He really does need to know this truth.
All right.
And here's the truth.
Well, he can hear it because you can just send him the link and he's going to hear it. Hi, Dad.
Yeah. Hi, Dad. Love you. Love you. But see, as a daughter, when you're a daddy's girl, you love every version of your dad.
Yeah.
The good boy, the good guy, the good man, but you like the bad boy too. Right. So when a woman goes seeking for a mate, she wants every version that her daddy has been. And men have a hard time like being the mentor for that old version of themselves. But that's exactly what young men need.
Right.
So he wouldn't let me have that. So I went out and I rebelled. And I said, well, let me go find a man that is in the church and very disciplined and, an upstanding man. So I went and found me a husband, an upstanding man, and I brought him home to Daddy, and Daddy hated him too. Daddy hated him too. But I married him anyway because I wanted to escape.
Right.
I wanted to escape my father's home. And I entered into 12 years of slavery.
Oh.
Marriage can be like slavery.
I know. Let me just take a breath for that. And you're so powerful and so vivacious and so exuberant and so just alive in spirit. And it just breaks my heart to hear that 12 years, that's a lot.
12 years of slavery. Not only was it 12 years of slavery, it was 12 years in a religion that oppressed women.
Oh, we're unpacking the onion.
Yeah, we're unpacking the onion. I was something called a Hebrew Israelite. And in that religion, they believe that the men only can have multiple wives, but the women belong only to the men. And I practiced that.
Okay, so the men only can have multiple wives.
Yes.
And it's called?
Polygyny.
Okay, polygyny. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the difference between polygyny and polygamy?
Okay, so polygamy means that you can just, the woman can go out and do what she pleases, and the man can go out and do what she pleases.
No. Like, so in the LDS, the former, so offshoots of the Mormon Church is polygamy, and there's there's town in Colorado, Arizona, whatever, I can't remember what it is, but they practice. So there's one guy, and he's got multiple
Are you talking about
wives.
Cody?
No, not Cody.
Okay.
No, but he's got multiple wives. So I'm just trying to find the difference between polygyny and polygamy.
So I think they're pretty much the same. I think that the Mormons call it polygamy, but when the man,
I want to be real clear. So I got a lot of friends that are Mormons. So the offshoot, the people that practice, because it's not practiced in the Mormon Church. And
I want to be.
It's an offshoot. It's just another branch that they don't. And Mormon Church doesn't acknowledge polygamy. But there has been some offshoots that have gone, and Warren Jeffs is an example.
Perfect example.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's no
polygamy.
difference,
right? Okay.
If you're using the example of Warren Jeff, then it's absolutely the same.
Okay,
it's absolutely the same, just a different brand of sugar. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Yeah, same thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
The women get him, and he gets more people, and I practiced that. I enjoyed it. Let me be honest. Let me tell you what I enjoyed about it. You want to hear?
Can I just toss out why I think you enjoyed it?
Why?
Because you don't have to spend all the time, because you just like push them off to the other wives.
No, they didn't want to be around him either.
Okay, so, all right, I'm going to just sit down and shut up and listen.
They didn't want to be around him either.
Okay.
What was so fun is that when my sister wives came around, I was able to go to the theater with them and go shopping with them. And, they would call me at work and say, hey, what do you want to eat when you come home? And I'd be like, yes, somebody here to help me do all this work.
You had a sorority in your house.
Oh my God.
The sisters.
And my sister wives were amazing. Some of them knew how to sew, and they would sew me clothes, and it was just amazing. And I didn't have to do, as a woman, a lot of times the man comes home after work and he thinks he doesn't have to do anything else. And I had to do everything else, but I worked just as hard as him.
Yeah, it's not fair.
It wasn't fair to me. So I enjoyed the company. My sister wives were the bomb. They were the best, but I thought that he would love me more if I gave him more women, and he did not.
Wow. So were you the first wife?
I wasn't his first wife, but in this polygyny situation, I was the first wife.
So then you became like the anchor. You became okay, got it. Okay.
And I was actually the one that went out and found them, and they were like glued to me. They wanted my friendship. They wanted to be family with me.
Right.
It did not work out because of the darndest thing. I didn't want him to have sex with them, and not for the reason that most women would think, but because I knew that the love that he was capable of giving them wasn't worthy of them. Wow. It wasn't worthy of them. I love these women so much.
Right.
And not like in a bisexual way, because I don't like, So it wasn't in that kind of way. It's just like, I want you to experience pleasure in bed.
Got it.
I want you to experience, women are created to be multiple orgasmic.
Yeah.
And I wasn't receiving none from him.
So he wasn't delivering. So you're like, I'm not gonna give you a 5-star Yelp review.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you like a 1.5 to 2 stars. Right. And I just want to let you know, ladies, that 1.5, 2 stars in good conscience, I can't recommend this restaurant.
Well, can you imagine that conversation? Can you imagine that conversation? It's like, hey, sister wives, hey, listen, I know that we done all got married and stuff, and the wedding night is coming up, but listen, I just don't want y'all to expect too much. Can you imagine that conversation? It was horrible because I'm a competitive woman and I'm a prideful woman.
Yeah.
I'm a prideful woman.
And generous.
Yes.
Because you want to let them know that he's a 1.5 to 2 star rating.
What I really wanted, to be honest with you, Rob, I wanted a stallion in the bedroom so I could be proud to share him. Like if I'm going to share you, can I be proud
Gotcha.
to share you?
Now, where's the wife, the first wife? Because you came in
The
as
ex-wife.
Oh, is it ex-wife?
Yes.
Okay, so wife, ex-wife, you came in and then it became polygyny where you had sister wives.
So he got married young.
Got it.
And had a first wife, had three beautiful children.
All right.
And then he decided to divorce her, and then he married me. And when he married me, he said, hey, listen, I've had one wife before, and there's too much work to do.
So I need how many, 10?
Well, no, he only wanted 3. He only wanted 3. He wasn't that greedy.
Okay.
Yeah, he only wanted 3.
Okay.
Yeah, just 3. So 4, 4 wives, right? And I didn't at first, because I was young, I was 26, and I think he's 8 years older than me. So he was a little bit older than me, and he knew what he was getting into. See, I didn't know the work that he was going to put me through. He needed 4 wives. Was he worthy of 4 wives? No.
No, I don't think so.
I began to understand that he wasn't really worthy of me.
Yeah. Good
so
for
then,
you.
yeah. Now, it took me a long time to figure out that he wasn't worthy of me.
12 years. Or
actually,
10.
It wasn't really that. It was actually 4 strokes. 4. From the pain of that relationship.
You had 4 strokes.
I had 4 strokes.
Wow. So you said 4 strokes. You were saying that he wasn't good.
Ones.
I know, but you had 4 strokes. We were talking about sex and he's not being good. And I'm like, and my daughter had 4 strokes. So I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to let you know, for you to overcome 4 strokes is an incredible thing. And the odds are not in your favor.
I had to learn how to talk again.
My daughter as well. She was 14 years old, and right up the stairs, she had a stroke. And then she suffered 3 more, brain surgery, took part of her left frontal lobe, couldn't walk, couldn't talk, coma, the whole thing at 14 years old.
Wow.
So I got you. I know exactly what that's like.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I knew you were powerful, but I didn't know you were that powerful.
Yeah.
So glad you're here. And the thing is that, you're on borrowed time and you're doing what you should be doing because there's a reason you're here.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I tell you, Rob, when you are faced with death, life gets really real.
Honey, I know.
Yeah. And I had to make the decision. I said, I'm not ready to die because I haven't even lived.
Right.
I haven't even lived. I haven't even had enough orgasms for me to go, no. I haven't even had enough orgasms. So I'm going, if I live through this, if I learn how to walk again, if I learn how to talk again, if my face muscles go back the way that they are, because my face was all twisted up.
Absolutely.
It was a horrible stroke.
I got you.
I am going to live my best life. And that's exactly what I did.
Absolutely.
After that 3rd stroke, I remember I came home, and I told my ex, well, he wasn't my ex then. And I told him, I said, hey, listen, this marriage is over.
Is that after you recovered?
No.
Wait a minute. No. You had a stroke and then you drove home and told your husband you leaving him?
No.
Okay.
So I had already had 2.
So one and then you recovered and another and you recovered? So my daughter had 4 at one fell swoop.
Oh, no. I had them 6 months apart.
Wow.
6 months apart. So I was always recovering from one and then another one happened. And it was the darndest thing. They would happen after we had a fight.
Wow.
Every single time.
Universe knocking at your door.
And let them
go. Let them go.
Let them go. And I didn't want to let them go because we had a family.
Right.
And I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to stay.
Absolutely.
But after that 3rd stroke, we had a fight in the car. And I was going home. I parked in the garage and I knew it was coming because my eyes started twitching.
Yep.
I did not expect it to be as bad as it got, though.
Wow.
It was horrible. I stayed on the floor. I fell down. We had this huge house and everybody was downstairs partying. I was upstairs, had a stroke, collapsed on my bedroom floor and stayed on that floor for 14 hours.
Yeah, you're supposed to be at the hospital as quick as possible. 14 hours is not a good thing. I know. I'm just saying they react quickly to stroke because that time
is really important, because if there's a brain bleed or whatever, you need to get in to have surgery.
Nobody came to check on me.
14 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to swear. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Like that pisses me off. Like
14 hours.
That's terrible.
I had a house full of people.
And no one checked on Adisa.
And no one checked on me except my 2-year-old son.
Wow.
And he was crying and screaming and calling for his dad to come and check on me.
And they just thought he was just being a 2-year-old.
They told him to stop crying and go upstairs and be with his mama. That next day, I didn't go to the hospital because, to be honest with you, that was the beginning of my transformation. And I said, I'm doing something different. I don't advise what I did, but I knew it was what I needed to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to get away. And the last thing I wanted to do was drive to a hospital where people that did not care about me could come and pretend like they did.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, oh okay? My God. I couldn't go through it. I couldn't go through it again. I had laid in that upstairs in my bedroom for 14 hours, covered in my own crap, and nobody came to check on me. And I remember praying. And I said, I don't want to die. If you can just give me some type of strength to get out of this, I'll never go through this again, ever.
Nice.
I ended up going and recovering at a Janus monastery.
What's a Janus monastery? My aunt's a nun, so I know about Carmelite monastery. I've never heard of a Janus. Is that your religion? Is that what Janus is? Okay, what's Janus?
So Jains are, they're like Buddhist monks, but they're not Buddhist because they serve nature. They believe that nature is God. And they're just like these Indian people that are walking around in these sheets, and
that's cool.
They believe in ashram living. So I went there. It was a place called Siddhayatan.
Learn something new every day. See, and I think I know a lot of stuff, but every day, just the universe just goes, here's something new for you to learn. Here's another taste of life. I love it. All right.
I went there, and they don't believe in luxury. So, but the place is like $300-400 a night for a cot in nature. And when I tell you, Rob, it was the most peaceful thing I had ever experienced in my life. I would have paid $1,000 a night for it. And it was at this moment that I knew that my soul had been thirsting for something that I had not been given it.
Wow.
It was at that moment right there that I knew that I had been living like a dead woman. And that's why my body was trying to kill me. That's why those strokes were trying to take me out, because I had not allowed myself to live. I had only allowed myself to be a slave and serve a man that didn't truly love me. And I changed. When I finally did go back home, this is when I drove back home, and I walked in, and he had not seen me or his son. And he's like, I have been calling everybody. I've called the cops. I have called everybody.
Because I need the dishwasher emptied, and I need laundry done, and I need some food.
Yes. Where have you been with my son? Wow. He was concerned about that, but I knew that I needed to take care of our son. That's not what he does.
Right.
I asked him to leave. He would not leave. So I left my own home.
Wow.
And that was, let me tell you something, Rob. When it's time for you to go, let it all go. Let nothing stop you from making the complete transformation.
Yeah.
I stayed gone from him for an entire year as I learned how to speak again. Because I had when you lose your, I was stuttering.
Absolutely.
It was really bad. So I had to learn how to talk again. And after a year, he came back to me. And he said, I want my family back. And like an idiot, I went back. 2 months in the house, I had my fourth and final stroke. After that fourth and final stroke, after 2 months, I said, made a mistake. I'm sorry. Yep, fuck this family. I'm out.
Well,
I'm out.
The universe is pretty amazing. So it's interesting. So parallel dimensions. So my daughter had her strokes, and I was so focused on my daughter's recovery.
Yeah.
So I wasn't paying attention to my health. I gained a ton of weight. I was 235 pounds. I mean, if you're looking at me now, I'm 189 pounds. So I look a little bit different because all I did was eat junk food. So I started to work out, and I had a Charlie horse in my leg. And I just thought it was a Charlie horse. My daughter says, it's a blood clot, Dad. I go, I don't have a blood clot. I'm young. I don't have a blood clot. Well, this went on for a couple months. And finally, when I got diagnosed, I had a blood clot from the top of my hip all the way straight down to my ankle. It was a solid mass. Went into the emergency room, and the doctor says, I don't even know how you're alive.
Wow.
And the reason I'm alive because I have a birth defect and I have an extra little feeder valve that I have two veins. So that's what saved me.
Your defect saved you.
Hell yeah.
Oh my fucking God.
So I laid upstairs in my bed for 3.5 months and tried to not die because it was so volatile of a mass. And it wasn't just like a little microscope that I have now in this leg. I got another blood clot. And it wasn't a small little speck like most are. It was a solid from the top of my hip to my ankle. And he's like, I don't even know how you have a leg. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah. So
wow.
I wrote my book. The one thing that I will say is that when you have those near-death experiences, the universe is trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
And it told me. It gave me little tips of like, hey, something's wrong. My daughter said something's wrong. And I go, something's wrong. And then finally, when I couldn't walk and my leg felt like it was on fire and was swollen up, I'm like, oh.
Something's wrong.
I'm in trouble. This is bad. And when the doctor looks at you and says, and actually, that's not even it. You felt this as well, I'm sure. And I've talked about this on different podcasts. When you have the feeling that you're about to die and your life is going to end, and how do you even know what that feeling feels like? But I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to die, or I think I'm dying. It's a crazy feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. Most people can't describe it.
I do.
It's pretty wild.
But it's a wake-up call.
A massive wake-up call. And it is the one thing that I will say is that, and anybody that's had a near-death experience will say this, is that they don't miss how much money they have, what property they have, any belongings they have. All they miss are moments in time that they think they're never going to get back. And they replay all the moments that are precious to them in their life. And they're like, God, I wish I would have spent more time with. I wish I would have said this to them. I wish I would. That's all that matters. That's it.
Yeah.
And I had a second chance, and I'm like, I am going to maximize and live every single freaking day like I want to be alive, like I want.
Yeah.
And that's the significance. So you're sitting there and you realize that you're on borrowed time, and you make changes in your life.
Yeah. So the changes started with my divorce. But then, like, when you get a near-death experience, there's a domino effect that people don't talk about. It's like once you wake up and you realize that you need to make change, you start making changes all of a sudden, and they're all in sequence. So the divorce then led to a change in career because I realized I wasn't happy with that either. I realized that, you know what? I haven't lived enough of my life. I haven't lived enough. I haven't traveled enough. I haven't met enough cool people. I haven't experienced enough at all. So then after I changed my career, I decided to do what I had always wanted to do. I've always wanted to speak to women. I feel like I've always been called to women. Before I had my near-death experiences, I was in finances. I was one of the top agents at New York Life in DFW.
Wow.
And I loved doing that. The money was flowing. I was at the top. I was the top woman salesman. But I would have these dinners because I like to cook for people that appreciate my cooking, right? Have these big dinners, and women from all over would just come just to be around me. And then I would end up doing their finances for them. And that's kind of what made me number one in DFW. So I had this prosperous career. So when I went to New York Life and I told the CEO, I'm like, I'm out. He's like, what the hell? Like,
you know how much money you made this month?
Yeah.
And you know how much money I made this month because of you?
Right.
Yeah,
what are you doing? He's like, listen, Adisa, why don't you take some time to think about this? Well, let's take some time to think about this. Why don't you recover? And then once you feel like you're out of the stroke zone altogether, come back.
Wow.
Come back. But I knew I was never going back.
I'm not going back.
I'm good at this, but I want to do something that I feel great at. Yeah. It makes me feel great.
It lights you up.
It lights me up. And with finances, the kill when that big sale, that lights you up. But it's like, okay, once you've done it, it's like,
I know.
Yeah. So I'm like, I want something else. So then I decided, I said, you know what? I'm going to open up my own life coaching business. And then I did it.
Nice.
I did it. I started in Dallas, Texas, and I told everybody, I said, now I don't have any idea how to do this. I'm just going to start speaking my truth. And I started speaking about my marriage. I had a Facebook group when I started speaking about my marriage, because I recognized that because I had been lying to everybody about how good it was. When I finally divorced, they were like, well, we don't understand what the problem is. He's such a great guy. Yeah. And so I lost all of my friends because I had been lying to them about who I really was. So I didn't have any friends. So I went on Facebook and I started speaking my truth. And as I started speaking my truth, I gathered a following. I went from 1 member to 40,000 people in 1 year.
You go, girl.
That is what I did. And so many people resonated with my truth. They resonated with my truth. And then they started paying me to coach them because I knew some things. I knew some things that other women could not talk to their friends because they were lying too.
Right.
So I was the perfect person to come to. And then the journey got fun because then life brought me joy. I started dating again. And when I tell you I finally did get those orgasms that I had been longing for, baby, they came. Now listen, I'm a woman in my prime now. I didn't have time to be listening to no men that was old talking about their erectile dysfunction because I had just died and I don't really care about that no more. I don't. I want some pleasure. And the universe delivered it to me in the form of a sexy young man. He was sexy, vegan, not an ounce of fat anywhere on him except in his penis. And he gave me explicit joy. And I said, I want joy like this all the time. Now that might sound greedy, but when you have been deprived for so long and you have been in famine and men are created to give anyway, why can't I receive pleasure? Why can't I receive joy in all its many forms? I'm a woman crafted for abundance. I receive it. And now I teach other women how to do the same thing. We need to have not just, and everybody, we don't want just money. Money is like, we want pleasure.
Yeah.
We want to feel safe and we want our bodies to tingle.
Well, I think it's cool because I think sexuality is finally in 2022 is actually okay in society. I mean, look at what's on Netflix, How to Build a Sex Room. Like it's one of the top shows. And, I think it goes back to even as far back when people had permission to talk about like 50 Shades of Grey, when that was just this homogenized version and be like, oh yeah. And they're talking about that. So it opens up the dialogue. We are sexual human beings. And I think it's so important to embrace your sexuality.
I agree. Absolutely.
And I think it's wonderful that you can be a catalyst to empower women because unfortunately in our society, especially a lot of religions, women are not empowered. They're disempowered.
That's true.
And it's amazing to me what I've seen is that the men are not powerful. The women are powerful and they are disempowered. And once they find their power, oh boy, watch out. What happens is the women are raising their vibration.
That's true.
And the men are not raising their vibration. And they're sitting like content and they think that everything's okay. And the women have embraced their power.
Yes.
And then the men don't look attractive to them and they see new opportunity for what they want. And a lot of women claim it and they transition from their marriage to being in relationships that are much more fulfilling and much more empowering than disempowering.
Oh, I agree. And I had to get rid of my good girl narrative because the good girl narrative was not serving me at all.
Right.
At all. When I allowed myself to, well, first I had to call back in all of my power. That's the first thing I had to do. I had to eradicate leeches in my life.
Oh,
that was
absolutely.
not easy.
Yeah. And I want to just jump in and say something. So just to clarify, so if a woman is raising her vibration it doesn't necessarily mean the relationship needs to be over. What it means is the men need to take notice and take responsibility and ownership that they need to meet their powerful women. So it doesn't mean your relationship's over. If you step it up and step up your game and get rid of your ego and see that you are so blessed to have such a powerful woman, then you're good to go. But if you don't, and she's as powerful as you think she is, but you keep her, under wraps. Like a lid.
Yeah.
She's going to go bye-bye.
She is going to go bye-bye. You're absolutely right about that. And because I began to recognize that, I then started doing Dragon-Hearted Tantra marriage retreats.
Love it.
So, and these and I do them here in Scottsdale. So, they're like these 3-night, 4-day retreats. I bring the couple in. I put them in a condo, a luxury condo, and I teach them how to communicate with each other sexually.
Nice.
And it amazes me how people do not know how to communicate sexually, but have so many children.
People don't even know how to communicate.
Yeah, that's true.
Just a conversation, they don't know how to communicate. Like to have a conversation. I mean, I love podcasting because I love having conversations. I do love just that dialogue back and forth. And I think that's so powerful, but people don't even know how to have a conversation. And a lot of people that I know that are married, they don't talk to their partner. I talk to my wife. I love conversations. One of the coolest things I love is just having in-depth conversations, just chilling and having pillow talk.
That's intimacy.
Amazing. Yeah, that's some nice stuff.
Yeah.
And everything else is icing on the cake.
And that's also what makes sex so enjoyable. But when you fail to communicate in a marriage, your body also fails to communicate. What I have learned from my Dragon-Hearted Tantra retreats for couples is that as a woman, I don't really have to say too much.
Right.
I really don't. If a man is in tune to me, he's going to listen and study. Yeah. He's going to study me to figure out what is it that she needs. Just like a man, when he gets a car that he really likes, he knows if something's off with the tire. He knows, right? He washes it. He makes sure that it's the best. Well, it's the same way when a man is really into a woman. Yeah. It's the same way. And my body language will tell a man that's into me something's off. Hey, babe, what's wrong? Because 70% of communication is not verbal.
It's not. It's visual.
The body.
Absolutely.
Can you see what my body is telling you? Can you hear what I'm saying to you in the tone of my voice? Yeah. Can you see my frustration in the wrinkle of my brow?
Can you feel the energy that I'm laying down for you right now?
Yeah. Can you receive the energy that I'm laying down for you right now? Because many people are not awakened enough to receive the energy.
Yeah. And, it's unfortunate that people don't really know that there is so much more to sex in a relationship from just intercourse or just the standard thing. Communication and breathing together and connecting your energy and all that is just delicious. And it's stuff that most people don't know that they don't know. They just don't know.
It's yummy.
It's yummy. It's delicious. I mean, it's like, what can I say? So there you go.
So I then, the name of my Facebook group, I don't know if I said that, but it's called, I call it the Sanctuary for the Sexy, the Sacred, and the Spiritual.
Nice.
Because I want...
Is it ladies only or can guys jump in?
Listen, I attract a certain kind of guy. I call him the divine masculine.
There you go.
It is men that are in tune with heart chakra energy. Oh my God, these men are so amazing. And I attract them like a moth to light. I really do. I can't go anywhere without seeing one. And I'm like, where have you guys been? And it was because I wasn't in the vibration to attract them. They've always been there. Yep. These good men that have these hearts that say, you know what? The temple of a woman is meant, when I come into her, I'm coming in to worship. I'm entering into her gates with thanksgiving and into her courts with praise. That's what a heart-centered man is.
Amen, sister. Yes. Amen. Gotta get amen.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
That is how they act. And women bloom under their tutelage.
Yeah.
I want to bring more light to these kind of men because what I have found is that these kind of men, a lot of times they end up trapped and marriages of obligation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it's just so heartbreaking because I see that these men are very emotional men. And when I say emotional, I don't mean soft.
Right.
When I say emotional,
heart-centered, from the core.
From the core. And when a man has the ability to speak from his core, the core of his soul to his woman, a woman that loves him, it's like a blanket.
Yeah.
Being wrapped around her, making her feel safe and protected. And it also makes her feel sensual and sexy.
Love it.
And that needs to be in more marriages.
You know, I think the pandemic really opened up a lot of doors. I know a lot of relationships, the husband and the wife, because everybody stayed home, had to be with each other like 24 hours a day. And some of the people that I know, they're like, oh my God, I got a business trip coming up. And like, if I have a business trip coming up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss my wife. And, you know, but other people are like, I got a business trip coming up. Finally get away from the wife. So excited, you know? And so they got locked in.
Yeah.
And they either succeeded in their relationship. And some people really did a lot of exploration and a lot of inner search and a lot of the work. And then other people, a lot of divorce, a lot of separation.
A lot of that. But I tell you what, I'm so grateful. Even though I felt it was like 12 years of slavery, I'm so grateful for that marriage.
Yeah.
Because it was the marriage that I needed for that version of me. I was not ready for the abundance of men that are in my life now. I was not ready for the quality of men that come into my life now. If they had met that version of me, I would have fucked those men up.
Yeah.
Completely. If they loved me, I would have been nothing more than more of an obligation. Right. And I don't want to give that to anyone. I had to raise my vibration so I could call in what was my due.
I am woman, hear me roar.
That is right. All of that. And life can be, you can turn your hell into your own personal and sacred heaven. You can. If you learn how to just love you. I didn't even know what that was. I thought, well, I consider myself an empath. And I felt that if I was just good to people and that if I just sacrificed everything to make other people happy, that they would love me back. That is an erroneous fallacy. And I do not recommend it because people can be assholes. Yeah. They really can. And if you are giving out of a place of brokenness, you're never going to receive abundance. You're just going to receive more brokenness. Yeah. So I had to take the time to fix myself.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I had to do a little isolation as I healed my body, but more so as I healed my soul. Yeah. And after I healed my soul, like everything about me changed and I became this like born again. I hate to say that, but it was like, I'm no longer that old person.
Right.
I am born again. I never knew what scripture was talking about when it talked about born again, because I was a Christian for years and I was like, something different.
Right.
Something is different. And all it was is I increase my vibration. And as I increase my vibration, that new frequency demanded. See, there are a lot of things that you want in life, but you don't have access to them because you're in the wrong frequency.
Yep.
Get in the right frequency.
Yep.
And then make that frequency your new vibration so it can keep coming.
Absolutely.
Can you stabilize that vibration? Can you be disciplined enough in your life not to pick up spiritual mess and junk? Because when you are not disciplined in your life and you pick up too much spiritual mess and junk in the form of relationships, it blocks your abundance.
Absolutely.
It blocks your abundance of love. It blocks your abundance of prosperity. It just blocks.
Yeah, you have to be aware there are people in this world that are parasites and they will suck the energy out of you and they will prevent you from getting to where you want to be and to living that life of abundance because it's there for all of us.
It is. And the great thing about hell, if you suffer greatly in hell, that means you can also enjoy greatly in heaven. I went down far, but hell, I came up very far as well. Life is glorious. I encourage people to enjoy to the fullest.
Adisa Cleopatra, thank you so much for being here today on Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you so much, Rob. I've absolutely enjoyed this.
That was a blast.
Thank you so much. That was so fun.
Thanks for being here today. And thank you so much for your support and taking the time out of your busy and precious day to listen. So appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me, along with my very special guest, to touch your heart, move your soul, inspire you to live a life of authenticity and transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio. Download complete.